Last night, your brain built an entire world, not a vague blur, a full experience. People, places, conversations, emotions, sometimes entire storylines that felt completely real. You were flying, or running, or talking to someone you have not seen in years. And none of it felt strange because the part of your brain that checks what is real was offline. And then your alarm went off and it evaporated. Here's what makes this genuinely strange. That was not a glitch. Your brain did that on purpose. Every single night, without your permission, it shuts down your critical thinking, generates a completely fictional reality, runs you through it for up to 2 hours, and then erases most of the evidence before you wake up. The question is why? And the answer is not one thing. Scientists have been studying this for over a century, and what they found keeps getting stranger the deeper they go. Here's the first thing that changes everything. Over the course of a full human lifetime, you will spend roughly 60,000 hours dreaming. That is the equivalent of a full decade of waking life spent inside experiences that never happened. Evolution is ruthless with energy. Anything that wastes resources gets eliminated. The fact that every human on Earth, across every culture, throughout all of recorded history dreams every single night tells you one thing with certainty. Dreaming is doing something important. We just kept arguing about what. For most of the 20th century, the dominant answer came from Sigmund Freud. Dreams, he argued, were coded messages from your unconscious, suppressed desires and hidden conflicts bubbling up while your rational mind was asleep. Carl Jung built on this, adding the idea that certain dream symbols are universal across all humans, archetypes shared by the entire species. These ideas dominated for decades, and people still half believe them today. But modern neuroscience moved on. Researchers stopped asking what dreams mean and started asking what dreams do. And that shift changed everything. The first thing they found was the memory connection, and it is one of the strongest findings in all of sleep research. Your brain receives an enormous flood of information every single day. Conversations, faces, skills, emotional moments, all of it competing for limited long-term storage. Something has to sort through it, decide what stays and what gets discarded, and transfer the important things from short-term to long-term memory. That process, it turns out, happens while you dream. Studies show that people who slept and dreamed between learning a task and being tested on it performed dramatically better than people who stayed awake or slept without dreaming. In one study, participants navigated a complex 3D maze significantly better after a night of dreaming. In another, people learning a video game literally dreamed about it afterward, their brains replaying and cementing the new skills while they slept. So when you are learning something difficult and feel like you're making no progress, sleeping on it is not a metaphor. Your dreaming brain is doing the work you cannot do while you are awake. But here's the twist. Some researchers argue dreams are not just about remembering. They might also be about strategically forgetting. Your brain contains an almost incomprehensible number of neural connections, and not all of them are useful. A theory called reverse learning suggests that during REM sleep, your brain reviews all these connections and actively prunes the ones that are not serving you, clearing out the noise so your waking mind can think clearly. In this framework, the dream is not the point. The dream is the exhaust from your brain taking out the trash. Now let us talk about nightmares, because they reveal something uncomfortable. About 1 in every 40 dreams tips into genuine nightmare territory, distressing enough to wake you up. Why would your brain deliberately terrify you?
Very funny.
The most compelling explanation is called threat simulation theory. When you dream about being chased, falling, facing conflict, or confronting danger, your brain is running drills. It is rehearsing your responses to threatening situations in a completely safe environment, so that if something similar happens in real life, your reactions are sharper and faster. For most of human evolutionary history, genuine physical threats were a daily reality. A brain that could practice survival scenarios every night had a serious advantage over one that could not. And the evidence for this is striking. People living in genuinely dangerous environments, including war zones and high crime areas, show significantly higher rates of threat-themed dreams than people in safe environments. The simulator runs harder when there is more to simulate. There is also a social version of this idea. Think about how many of your dreams involve other people. Conversations, arguments, romantic situations, group dynamics. Humans are intensely social creatures whose survival has always depended on navigating relationships successfully. Researchers theorize that dreams give you a nightly sandbox to rehearse interpersonal scenarios, process social anxieties, and sharpen your ability to read and respond to other people. You have been practicing how to be human every night of your life. You just do not remember the practice sessions. Then there is, perhaps the strangest theory of all, one that connects dreaming to the rotation of the planet. Your visual cortex, the part of your brain that processes what you see, is one of the largest and most metabolically expensive structures in your entire brain. But during the long darkness of night, it gets almost no real visual input, and brains are neurologically plastic. Unused areas can get repurposed quickly. Research suggests that if you were completely deprived of visual input, your visual cortex would begin reorganizing itself within hours. Scientists now think that dreaming, which is intensely visual, may have evolved partly to keep the visual cortex active and protected during sleep. Your nightly cinematic adventures might literally be your brain preventing itself from cannibalizing its own visual processing hardware. Every time you dream, you are keeping the lights on in a part of your brain that cannot afford to go dark. And then there is creativity. Dreams exist in a space completely unconstrained by logic, physics, or conventional thinking. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for critical thinking and reality checking, goes almost completely quiet during REM sleep. The result is a cognitive environment where your brain can make connections and leaps it would never attempt while awake. The history of human creativity is full of breakthroughs that happen in dreams. Paul McCartney heard the melody for Yesterday in a dream. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was inspired by a dream. The chemist Auguste Kekule worked out the ring structure of the benzene molecule after dreaming about a snake biting its own tail. Researchers are now actively studying something called dream incubation, deliberately priming your brain before sleep to work on a specific problem, and early results suggest it actually works. So why do we dream? The honest answer is that we do not fully know yet, and that is not a failure of science. It is a reflection of how genuinely extraordinary your brain is. It is entirely possible that dreaming evolved for one reason and then proved so useful for multiple other functions that it got locked into our biology as a kind of all-purpose overnight maintenance system. Memory consolidation, emotional processing, threat rehearsal, creative problem solving, neural housekeeping, visual cortex protection, all running simultaneously while you sleep. What we do know is that it matters. People deprived of REM sleep specifically suffer cognitively and emotionally in ways that total sleep deprivation alone does not fully explain. The connections between disrupted dreaming and conditions like PTSD and mood disorders are real and being actively studied. Your dreams are not random noise. They are your brain working overtime on problems you did not even know you had. Every other organ in your body has a job you can point to. Your heart pumps blood, your lungs exchange oxygen, your liver filters toxins. Their purpose is visible, measurable, mechanical. But your brain, the most complex object in the known universe, spends a third of every night doing something we cannot fully explain. Generating experiences, processing emotions, building worlds, and doing it in a way that leaves almost no trace by morning. So tonight, when you close your eyes and slip into whatever your unconscious has built for you, something meaningful is happening in there. Science just has not finished decoding all of it yet.